Well, you probably don't know who some of these are, so I'll start talking while this is all being arranged. We were a gravel company. We are a gravel company. We work minerals in this area. I joined the company 49 years ago for a week because I couldn't think what else to do because I failed all my exams at school, except I did just manage to get through economics. Very just on account of the fact I didn't understand what Keynes was about, and I still don't understand what Keynes is about. Instead, we don't have a centre-right government, we have a centre-left government. This is a gravel pit. An example, I've shown that, it's a recent one. That's at recycling. That plant was used. So sustainability is not just about energy. It's about recycling things as well. So that plant was used to dig the Eton rowing course. I'll show you in a minute. The sand processing plant was used in the Falklands to build the airport there. So I go there, do I? Yes, that is the rowing course. That's an example of the wrong decision at the right time. We lost a lot of money making that, but we had to do it. It was the only way we could go forward. It was definitely the wrong decision, but because it was the right time, it was all right. So things are not plannable. You have to let things go. Don't think that you can plan things like that. You can't. You have to let things happen. They kept Brezhnev alive when he was dead. They were trying to defy death with socialism. It doesn't work. So there's a rowing course. That's one thing we dug. You'll see that a bit in the summer when they had the Olympics there. And out of strength comes forth sweetness. That's the Thames Valley Adventure Playground for the disabled. Because we're a strong company, we're able to help people. 13,000 visits a year we have. If you have a disabled child, it's a severe problem. You can put them there, they will be stimulated, they will be helped, makes your life possible. Out of strength comes forth sweetness. That's where we started. Landfill gas. One day I went up to Gerrard's Cross, saw some good old boys in a half-round missing hut, cracking the concrete, and toasting their sandwiches over the flame coming out the crack. I said, what on earth is that? They said, it's the landfill gas. That was when I was 20, I think I saw that. In the end, I turned it into a business, or we turned it into a business, not just me. My son and others helped a lot. And that was as simple as that. We sucked landfill gas out the ground, regarded entirely as mad in the first place. You're totally mad. Well, I may be mad, but I'm fairly rich because we sold the business for 80 million quid in the end. And that's given us enough money to be a bank ourselves, so we can make our own minds up about things. We can decide we know the technologies and we can invest in them. Now, it became plain to us that they weren't going to do many more landfills because of the environmental situation. We wanted to go on beyond that, so we decided anaerobic digestion was a good place to go, and we researched into it, as I'd researched into energy before we ever went into renewables. I researched into energy as an extender of energy resources much more than as a green issue. Anyway, this plant, part of that plant had been built on a consultant's advice with lots of money from Europe and places like that. Totally wasted, went bust. And we bought it from the receiver. They couldn't possibly, they didn't have the technological knowledge, they didn't have the business knowledge. It couldn't work. It was a community sort of thing, and it couldn't work, basically, with the people, and they were under enforcement orders, goodness knows what. So there we have, it was done basically to take cattle slurry. 80% of the inputs had to come from cattle slurry when it was originated. Totally daft idea. They were going with cattle slurry, a cow farts first thing in the morning, lets most of the gas go anyway. We were carrying this lousy slurry along little Devon roads in dirty, great big lorries, breaking up the roads and everything else like that. So we moved from that business model, it's the business model that's vital, to one where we simply take in waste. We take in food waste, we reduce the amount and radically increase the amount of electricity. So that plant That's Holsworthy biogas plant. We generate, on average, about 4 megawatts all the time. It's not quite an up-to-date photograph. We take in about 70 to 80,000 cubic meters, tons of stuff. And we put it through the digesters. You can see the three big ones are digesters. We've now got in the corner, just here, a gas bag. Now, I'm saying this because it's very important. We put a gas bag there. What can we do now? We can manage our electricity production in accordance with demand. Other things, you have to take windmills production when the wind blows, or else pay them to turn off. What we can do is manage it. We managed to get our export on the export line up after quite a lot of difficulty with the FLBs. That means the people who work for the big electricity companies, the fat, lazy bastards. We could take down the wire 3.2 megawatts. But the chap said to me, well, actually, you could put more down if they'd let you. It took us 9 months, but we have got it just, I think, about this week. We're able to now put down 3.8, and in the summer it'll be 5 megawatts down the same wire, because we're actually managing our electricity production in accordance with the voltage in the grid. So there's a little thing, small company, got our own money, but we can actually react and manage our production in accordance with demand, meeting supply and demand. The market is what matters. The business is what matters. We can deal with the technologies. It's the business. It was the business model that was wrong there in the first place. Just let the market work. Don't try to drive them. Don't tell them what to do. There's a bigger picture. Originally, you can see in the background over there, Holsworthy Village. The original idea was they take the waste heat from this plant and heat Holsworthy Village, about the most benign climate in the world, where you hardly ever need to do anything. And they put hot water pipes all along the streets was their idea. Great idea, completely daft. Would have gone bust immediately. We tried to do it. Instead, if I just go back the other one, in the field behind here, my great idea now is to put in a drying plant. So when we generate electricity through our engines, and incidentally, these bags hold fertilizer, which we give to the local farmers so they don't have to buy chemical fertilizer. In the field behind, we bought the field. I won't tell you, that was quite a game, but anyway, we bought the field, and my plan is to build a drying plant there. So when we generate electricity through an engine, 40% comes out as electricity of the energy, 60% goes into the air as heat. I think, realistically, we can catch at least half as much energy as we make electricity. So about actually 2.5, 3, actually 4 megawatts, because we can of heat, because we are managing our production, so we produce more in the day and less at night when people don't want the electricity. So we can use that heat. And therefore, we go to a much higher percentage of production. We're about 60% energy efficient then, which is as good, Professor Fells, as almost any, isn't it? If we actually respond to the market, we'll take in wood from the local community. Now, people build dirty, great big plants making pellets. The trouble is they have to bring the wood a long way, and it drives up the price of wood. End result is they're all very marginal. In fact, I can tell you they're all losing a lot of money. Please don't quote me on that. But they are all losing a lot of money. We can make wood pellets there using our waste heat. Oh, that's just a picture of some of the stuff that we digest. That's local authorities' waste, sorted waste. We also take in depackaging waste, blood, guts, all sorts of stuff, and digest it to make a fertilizer and electricity. And heat. Now, that is the bag where we'll hold the gas so that we can generate electricity and heat. During the day, people work in a civilized time during the normal hours of 7 till 7 or something. Don't have to work at night. So our other business we moved into, having made quite a bit of money from that 80 million from selling the landfill gas, we decided we'd go in for distributing wood pellets, and blimey, it is a good way of losing money. I think it's a better way of losing money than owning a rugby team. It's a very good way of losing money. We're losing a lot of money distributing pellets because it's an undeveloped business yet. We have the view, a bit like Vodafone, that if we invest now, actually there will be more pellets used, and so our investment will turn out to be a beneficial thing. But using our waste heat, we can make these pellets cheaper. And making the pellets cheaper, that gives us a better chance to be more dominant in the market, and therefore, again, it reduces our costs. It's good use of energy. It's making the best use of what resources we have. That's just a wood burner. That's how you burn the pellets to generate heat in your house. Oh, I don't like those. They're pylons. You know, I grew up walking around mountains, and I love our countryside. And if we can have as few pylons, please, let's have as few pylons as we can. You know, as a gravel scratcher, I wasn't always popular on the environment, but I think my gravel pits, when they've been restored to lakes and things useful, look a jolly sight better than pylons. And we don't need really any more pylons, as long as we use the right energy in the right places, not trying to use low-grade energy for high-grade purposes or high-grade energy for low-grade purposes. Using electricity to heat houses is too ridiculous. That is one of the forests we bought in the far north of Scotland when we sold. We had to invest in something, so that was one of the things we bought in. It's actually in the flow country in Scotland, where you've got lots of peat and birds. The RSPB want a lot of the forest taken down. Well, I don't know about the real benefits of all that, but you can see some of the forests have died, and that is what we'll be using in the north of Scotland to make pellets up there as well, close to the market, and we control the business again. We control enough wood so that we can negotiate with the other forest owners to take their wood when it's cheap, and they can keep it when it's expensive, and we'll work our own stuff. It's the business. I don't like those very much either. I mean, they generate electricity when the wind blows, and they don't generate much electricity when the wind doesn't blow. And to have an energy policy that actually combines nuclear electricity, which gets violently expensive if you turn it up and down and needs to be a base load, with windmills which only generate when the wind's blowing, is, to me, lunacy. Don't have that policy at all. Let the market do it. Put a tax on energy, a tax that's high enough to let people make their own minds, make their own decisions, don't need any McKinsey reports, don't need any of that stuff. Just let the market, let businessmen do it. One of the problems is, and where we're very fortunate, is that we're sort of our own bank. I've had to deal in the past, when I was younger, you know, we didn't have much money, quite honestly. We had very little money, in fact. And the banks told us to turn, for instance, our landfill gas 4 years before we sold it for 80 million. The banks told us to turn it off and give it away. We told them to get lost. Banks do not understand business. They don't understand. To do the anaerobic digestion, to do the wood pellets, you've really got to understand that business to make the investments. I make a decision every week on investments in the plant. My son tells me he's just been inside a wood pellet, been shoveling it out because he wants to see what's wrong at the bottom. Actually, development business depends on small businesses taking it forward to maturity. That's the place we occupy. We occupy the place between development, original development, and full commercial. We're the first commercial display of energy. And that's what we did with landfill gas. It's what we're doing now. We might decide to carry on with anaerobic digestion, I think, because we know quite a bit about it. But that's the problem with windmills.
Time for any discussion on this.
Okay. Right, okay, well, that's a country I like. I was going to say something else about it. Now, this is a really important flow chart. This end is energy in, if any of you are not familiar with it. This is energy exported, about 77 million tons of oil equivalent. This is energy wasted, about 77 million tons of oil equivalent. And this is energy delivered, which is 159, isn't it? Million tons of oil equivalent. 77 million tons of oil equivalent is five times the amount of nuclear generation. That is wasted. Now, you are going to waste some. We waste some. But if we can manage our resources properly, then we don't need to waste so much. And it is the market that will bring, will reduce the waste, that waste, so that the good things to invest in actually come forward. It's done by hunch. I don't know anything about electricity, really. When I left school, I just thought there was going to be a problem with energy in my lifetime, or at least my grandchildren's lifetime. Soon, there was going to be a shortage of fossil fuel energy. And I looked into it, and I thought, well, we'll try, and we'll see what we can do. And I took a hunch about landfill gas, and it worked out. And I've taken a hunch about other things. And other things, it hasn't worked out. We went into hydrogen. We lost money on hydrogen. Hydrogen's a crazy way of dealing with energy, actually. And I found out the hard way. And that's what should happen. You should find out the hard way. You should lose money. You should take risks. Well, I've made lots of mistakes, you know. Hands up. I've made mistakes. But it's right. You learn from mistakes. You always learn from mistakes. They're very valuable, in fact. But when you work with the market, people make mistakes. Some of them might go bust. They can start again. But that's the way to do it. Let the market work. Don't be prescriptive. That's why we have a centre-left government now. So that's it, really. I'm sorry to have taken too much time. If you've got any questions,